Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
Hello, everybody.
I sit way closer to the camera than you guys. My head is enormous compared to you all.
Here we go.
Hey, Adam, I like your new mask. Is this part of your prophylactic measures for the time in which we live?
It is. It turns out that the N95 masks that I had with the valve in the center, they do a fine job of protecting me, but nobody around me because air is just evacuated through the valve.
Makes a funnel,
So,
probably.
yeah. So that made it incumbent upon me this weekend to look up some mask designs and try and build a few. And I was here on Saturday for a few hours, flailing, breaking needles on my sewing machine. I just had the worst 4-hour period. Sewing is not my wheelhouse, and it was awful. And then I was texting back and forth today with Mary Robinette Cowell because we were talking spacesuit stuff. And she sent me this design that she had modified from a couple of others. And it's stunning. This is literally a 12-inch square of cotton. This is a pillowcase that two pillowcases that my wife and I had that we hadn't used yet. It's a 12-inch square, folded in half, sewn up one edge to make a tube that's 6 by 12. The ends are folded in to create tubes for the ties.
Yeah.
Three pipe cleaners are twisted together to make the nose bridge. And actually, having tried like about 15 different things in my shop for the nose bridge, pipe cleaners are it, man. They are
awesome,
beautiful. And I just finished 4 of them for my wife, my mom, my son, and myself. And I've been wearing it for the last hour. It feels pretty comfortable. I mean, it's hot boxing in here, and when you have a pollen bloom and a runny nose, a mask is literally a Dantean level of hell.
This is something
but I love
that,
this.
And masks is something that I think we're going to see a lot of, and a lot of people in the maker community. I mean, even their Hollywood costumers. I think LA Times had a story over the weekend about the costumers in LA making thousands of them now, because it's still not widely a part of the recommended precautionary measure, but we all know we're going to get there. And the smart move is to start making and wearing masks now. But there are so many designs, and what you described is a very low barrier to entry design.
It's also, we should be clear that I've done a lot of reading on this in the last few days. This is interesting. When you study birth control, it is impossible to come up with a perfect number for the efficacy of any birth control because there's never been a study in which everyone followed the rules. And so within the medical studies of things like the efficacy of masks, comfort is a real important thing, because if it's not comfortable, it doesn't matter how effective it is, you just won't use it.
The
friction.
Well, yeah, if it makes it harder to breathe, it makes you tired, and people take them off. Like when we had the fires and I was wearing my N95, like my shop ventilator, you had to take it off after a while because you were exhausted from breathing through it for 5 hours straight.
Totally. And more than that, let's see. Straight up cotton pillowcase and sheet material is fantastic for masks for civilians. Where an N95 holds back, well into the 95th percentile of what it's supposed to block. This does more like in the 70 percentile. But again, we're not medical professionals working on the front lines. This is about social distancing plus masks, not socializing with masks.
You're trying to avoid inhaling a droplet or blasting your own droplets into other people's wakes. That's all you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Because presumably, as near as we can tell, the virus isn't spread in viral form. It has to still be attached to some sort of particulate, which in the case of a sneeze or a cough is, you did this on the show, right? There's little clouds of little droplets when somebody sneezes or coughs, and you walk through them 10 minutes later, and then boom, there you go. So this is to minimize that. That's it.
Yeah.
And you're also talking about
go ahead.
The resistance not only to wearing the mask once you have it, and comfort is such a big part of that, but kind of the impetus to make the mask, because you can get crippled by all the different designs out there, all the different reading materials, and sometimes you just got to go and make one. And like, to give that recommendation, say a pillowcase, which everyone has. Like, we were a
Yep.
couple this weekend trying to figure out, what type of fabric to use and what was going to be the most effective. But it's not about that right now. It's about just doing it and making it. And yeah, if you want to make one later, make it. Like we were stuck with the elastic. We didn't have,
Yeah. Yeah.
rope and elastic, and you're just using shoelaces.
And elastic is so the other thing that, let's just talk about this for a second. And I don't want to pretend that I'm or we are authorities on this whatsoever. But if you are using a mask like this out in public, and these haven't been worn out in the field just yet, the real thing is you don't want to be touching the mask with your hand if you don't have to. When you take the mask off, the outside is contagious, is potentially packed with contagion. You actually want to bake your masks in your oven at 150 degrees every night, every time you use them, actually, if you want to have real best practices.
You can also steam them, is my understanding. I think it's
Oh,
once you hit
really?
180 degrees, then your problems are solved.
But
And you can
once you
boil them
steam
and
them, you
dry
have
them
to
if you want.
dry them. Yeah.
Yeah, you want them dry. It's the maker stuff. It's our mutual friend Jeff Solon, who I think you met at OrdCamp this year, is a
Yeah.
teacher in Chicago, and he posted plans for a flat pack face shield. So we've seen a lot of 3D printer community building face shields, but throughput is or frames for face shields. Throughput's a real
The
problem there.
maker community, the maker community has been living up to its Apollo 13 moment in every corner of the world. I mean, the group efforts and the tens and hundreds of thousands of 3D printers being commandeered around the world to in service of this has been really an inspiring story.
Well, so Jeff saw that, and he was one of multiple people. I know there's other people who've done something similar, but he designed a flat pack laser cuttable face shield that you could cut on a normal, like your average mid-range laser in about 2 minutes out of PTEG. What did I say? A little PTEG. Anyway, basically
PTEG, yeah.
PTEG.
No,
Yeah,
PTG is my favorite vacuum form plastic.
that's the soda bottle
It
stuff, right?
No, soda bottle is
No,
PET.
PET. Okay. Oof, too many
I
acronyms.
know there's so much to keep track of. Hey, how are you guys mood swings?
I'm on day 30 now, 31. I can't remember. It's
Does
been
it
a long
help?
time.
Does it help to count?
I feel like it
um,
is important for me. I don't know that it matters.
I'm able to not count if I don't want to. It doesn't stress me out to think of another 30 days. It stresses me out to think it stresses me out to think about the ways in which people will suffer and things aren't being handled as well as they could be, and what the world could look like after this. But enduring this right now, I'm just noticing that I'm taking it as a given that nothing that upsets me is about the thing that's upsetting me.
Yeah.
Everything redounds to the base level, the baseline of stress that is just competing for attention with every last detail of my life.
The yeah. So Gina and I instituted really early on, before we even quarantined, I think, a no talking about this after 9 o'clock at night rule, just so that we could sleep without medical assistance.
Yeah,
Um, but that's been challenging because like we have a 7-year-old in the house. We have a small
yeah,
house. We're around her constantly, and we don't want to freak her out more than necessary. Like, she definitely knows stuff is going on. We've talked to her about it. But as she said the other day, like, I'm sad because I don't have I know I can't understand what's going on. I know something's going on and I can't understand what's going on. So she's like
yeah,
self-aware at that level. And so Gina and I don't have a lot of time to talk about it aside from like texting back and forth. And it's been challenging. Like, I realized last week I needed to stop watching the news. It
yeah,
became clear that the next 2 weeks from that, from Friday, the next 2 weeks were going to be awful. And there's not anything I can do to contribute to making things better. All I can do is make things worse. And I need to take care of myself
right.
and my
By
family. So
increasing your stress level, lowering your immune system, and increasing the stress within your household, of course. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm not paying attention to what's going on in the outside world. I don't know that that's the right solution for everybody, but it's definitely helped my mental state. I'm sleeping better. I'm
I
talking to
mean,
family more. I'm talking to friends more. you know, reaching out to the people that matter and paying attention to the things that I can help with and not worrying about the tangerine asshole.
I've heard from a lot of friends I haven't heard from in a long time. I've reached out to a lot of people I haven't reached out to in a long time, which
Yeah.
is great. And that's the plus side of it. But on the flip side, and Jeremy and Kishore, now we're talking about this when we check in with each other, it's the very basic, how are you guys doing? You know, that rhetorical question now has this big elephant behind it. And it's even something as simple as that, as how you guys doing? How are you doing? Isn't something that feels okay to ask anymore.
See, I disagree. I think it's,
Yeah.
well, okay. I totally understand that. I just would like to say, given how much this is affecting me and my house, the people that I live with, and what I'm witnessing, I think it's really important to talk openly about how about the pathways of stress and what it's doing, because when you don't normalize it, you can feel super alone in it at the moment that
Mm.
it's really affecting you, you know?
Well, and on top of that, like you have to be able to find happiness and joy even in otherwise awful times, right? Like if you're
Yeah.
just sitting here and bemoaning the fate of, if you, like, there's nothing wrong with feeling everything, but there's also nothing wrong with when your kid or your dog or you watch a movie and you're just like, holy shit, what an incredible movie. It's okay to be happy about that even as the world burns around you, because
Yep. Oh,
the thing that most of us are doing and that we should need to be doing is to stay at home and don't go out and don't expose ourselves to other people and don't expose other people to us, and you know, help where you can, but it's okay to be happy. It's okay to have a
yeah.
moment of happiness.
I will tell you, we found a real happy place this on Friday, I think. I just spooled up season 1, episode 1 of 30 Rock.
Oh, I watched that last night.
Our best friends have also been burning through. It is so, it is such dense comedy. It's been activating my brain and reminding me of how great it was when it was first airing, which was like '07, '08. Am I right about that?
Yeah, that seems right. It was
Um,
when we were at Maximum PC still, back, Norm, I think.
just the, just the, just the best writing, and that's been a very happy place for us.
There's that, even that first episode when, like, I don't think I watched the first season because I came onto it late. I was a Studio 60 guy, not a 30 Rock guy at the beginning of that weird
Me too.
split.
Me too.
And I watched the first episode when she goes to the strip club with Tracy, and I was just like, oh my god, this is like they had
Out of
the
the gate.
core of that thing so right. They got the writers, like the writers room feels like a writer's room. Like the whole thing feels, I don't know, it still speaks to me. I was really stoked to watch it.
And
That's
it's
really funny that
it's
we,
Completely.
fast. The jokes are
yeah,
fast. It's smart, and it's a cartoon. It's a live action cartoon.
yeah, it's the
It,
Simpsons in a lot of
it's
ways.
also it was also it's in the early part of my marriage with my wife, and there's a lot of lines in 30 Rock that we still use when uh, 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 Jesus, when they go to the party by the Habsburg Prince, played by Paul
Paul
Rubens,
Rubens, yeah.
and 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 Jenna is in the bathroom debating whether or not to like hook up with this crippled inbred nightmare, and
Is
Tina
that
Fey
that's
goes,
Martin Short?
"No,
No, it's Paul Rubens.
it's Paul Rubens, it's Pee Wee Herman."
Oh, okay.
Uh, uh, Tina Fey goes, "You're not even listening to me. Poop monkey butt." And poop monkey butt has literally been like a regular refrain for "I'm not sure you're really
Oh,
listening to me."
that's funny. Um, yeah, I've been building Lego. I went in the garage and dug out the vault of unopened Lego and pulled out the Simpsons house from like 4 or 5 years ago. And I've just been, when I'm feeling stressed out, I pick out a bag, I sit down, I build some Lego for an hour, and then it kind of, you know, gives your brain something to do that requires attention but not full, you know, engagement.
You know, it's funny because my wife asked me this morning to bring Lego home from the cave because that sounded like fun, and I agree. So she, she has she has no idea what she's in for,
Oh
because
yeah.
the one bit of my Lego is about the size of a body bag, but I will transfer some to a box and bring it home.
Could
Well,
null out the entire,
oh.
floor of a house.
You know,
Just
I was
do a-
fascinated. I was watching. It would actually take more than my house to null out my collection of Legos, more than the square footage of my house. However, I did watch some people sorting a massive batch of Lego, and I forgot that Lego builders sort by color.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it depends.
I,
They don't all, but most of them do.
mhm.
Some put parts in bins. We've talked to a couple people about this. It's a
Norm,
personal preference.
Norm, when society comes back again, we got to bring Angus McLean back to
Yep.
finish that to finish the build that we'd started with him.
It's on the list. Absolutely.
Um, I actually Will, I shot 2 one-day builds last week on my
Holy
phone.
cow!
You went
And
through a whole roller coaster of emotions that week. I want to talk about that because it
Yeah,
started after we recorded the podcast with you doing a live stream
yeah,
of a
how
Q&A
how
session.
how's your finger, by the way?
my finger is doing great. I'm redressing it and cleaning it every single morning. It's a lot of there's a lot of square footage to be mended. So
Yeah.
at the bottom, at this part down here, it's doing pretty well. Up here, there's still some movement, but there's no. It's not getting sensitive. It's not getting infected. It's doing
Do
spectacularly.
do you feel like there's going to be permanent damage, or you feel like you got everything's okay? Can you move? I mean, I obviously can't move it
Not
yet, probably.
I no. I actually I have determined that I have most of my strength
Okay.
and no nerve damage. It
Oh,
looks
that's.
like
Oh,
it looks like I threaded the needle of idiocy to a freebie.
I.
Uh,
Yeah. Just be careful.
no. So I filmed a piece on my phone about exactly what happened, and I just watched it this morning, Norm. And it's intense. It's an intense piece to camera because literally I started out, Will, holding the phone up, and then I can see that the phone is like shaking as I'm talking about it. I'm like, let me put this in a holder.
Wow.
Um,
Oof.
yeah, Norm, the emotional roller coaster was real. I was feeling the flashbacks, and a good friend of mine who wrote to me actually, and who suffers from PTSD from being in the military and other parts of his life, and actually counseled me on how this would feel and the progression of it because it's really intense. I was also feeling, and I said this on the live stream last week, the same lack of motivation that has been reported widely on Twitter by all sorts of creative people. It's very hard for me to think of anything that would be enjoyable to build.
Yeah.
Um, that the
We
soothing of
say
this,
we
right? That
say we're working from home, but we're not all working from home. We're all at home with this thing trying to work.
yeah, and it colors this. It colors everything in a way that it's really impossible to sort of parse from inside of it at this early stage. But there's definitely a feeling of like, if I was alone, I would easily stay in bed until noon and go to bed at like 4 a.m. and eat nothing but Oreos. Like there's part that could just completely retreat.
Well,
And
I mean, it's funny because I have some friends who are single people who live alone in LA, and I was talking to one of them last night. He was like, "Yeah, today I sang the Goldfinger theme to my ham sandwich before I ate it," and I was like, "Damn, Casey, maybe get on some. Let's get some voice conferences going. Let's get you on the Zoom and hang out some." Like, but at the same time, at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning, when the house was full chaos, I was just like, "Oh man." I'm very jealous. Like we have these two completely different experiences that the country's having, and it's the people who live alone
yeah,
and the people who live in houses filled with family, and it's like the family reunion you can't escape from, which is fine, but also it would be nice to have like 20 minutes of quiet in the house at some point during the daytime that
And
wasn't at
that's the
11 o'clock
thing.
at
It's
indeed.
night.
it's it's not what the circumstance is, it's the duration of that circumstance. And that you
Well,
can't get a break from any of what would be the thing you're doing normally.
well,
You
the other
know,
thing
there's
we're
a.
noticing. Oh, go ahead, Em.
I was just going to say there's a a phrase, and I'm not sure if I heard it in Buddhism in the Buddhism reading that I have done and do, but I sense that it does. And the phrase is, "This is what's happening." And that simple phrase has been incredibly stabilizing for me to be repeating during this. And it's not to say that I have been on an even keel the whole time. I've had some real emotional swings over the past few weeks, and it's all informed by, like I said, like we talked about at the beginning, uh, and that acceptance, right? I mean, it happens when you're a new parent too, right? Well, like you at
Yeah.
first you're just like, Jesus Christ, this is unrelenting, and then you're like, man, unrelenting is the flavor. That's
The,
what we are.
the,
We're existing within unrelenting.
Norm, you and I have talked about this, but there's a moment when your kid is like 2 or 3 months old, when you're like, oh God, I'm so tired. And then you realize in your head that it's like, this isn't going to stop for the rest of your life, probably, but at least like a good 10, 20 years. And
Yeah.
it's like you have to get acceptance and resignation and all, move through all the stages. The thing we're finding is that days are both very, very long and then you look up and it's 4:45 or 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And like the individual moments are long. We're trying to live very much in the moment on the day to day. It helps having a 7-year-old around, because having a short attention span human being in your life, it lets you do that more often.
That's true.
And the nice thing conveniently, I'm in a position where like my business is slow right now, but I do have stuff that I have to do every day. So, when I get my stuff done, then if I don't feel like I'm going to be productive, if I'm not in a productive headspace, I can go in and hang out with my kid and we can do a puzzle or build some Lego or whatever together, which is, it's a small, it's a small, uh, bright side to an otherwise very grim time. So finding
Yeah.
small comforts.
We tried to build a puzzle, but I had to give up at the sky. It was like a vast white sky. I built 85% of the puzzle without looking at the box, and I never looked at the box. But the white sky just beat me. It defeated me.
Oh, so
I was
I've
the
gone the
only
other
one,
way.
and I was the only one in the house working on the puzzle. And at a
Oh,
certain point, I was like, I got to pack this puzzle up.
slack asses. We've gone the other way. We had a couple of 1,000-piece Real Nightmare puzzles with like all streets that wind in opposite directions and other like, and we've gone. I was looking at a site that just does puzzles that are gradients. It's just a straight vertical gradient from like blue to orange. I was like, oh, this looks good.
Have you ever seen what real puzzlers do to practice? They'll take two white puzzles, join them together, and then have to complete the pair of them.
Oh my God.
Who is it?
At some
Jessica
point,
Rosencrantz. Oh,
yeah.
Jessica Rosencrantz does these puzzles where they are infinite. You can buy multiples of the same puzzle and there's no edge. So the right side of the puzzle at any moment will connect to the left side of the puzzle.
Oh my
And
gosh.
and also they're two-sided. So she cuts them on laser out of plywood. So they're not stamped, puts the image on the back, cuts them, and they're astounding. You can buy 3 or 4 of them, make them big. We're gonna
Oh my gosh.
get
What were
really
you gonna say,
puzzling
Norm?
over here.
Last week was the bread making phase of isolation, and this week, I mean, Danica has done 2 puzzles, so we are 100% in the puzzle phase of isolation. But to put that point, and Adam, you said you did the puzzle by yourself. Like, we're all 3 of us.
My mom helped a lot, but go ahead.
But in terms of like a lot of it you did yourself. Doing things by yourself when you're in a shared space is super helpful. Like,
Yeah,
the fact
yeah.
that all 3 of us are fortunate enough to, again, to be surrounded by loved ones, with family, that's great. And we are sharing this experience together, which is very helpful mentally. But just because we're sharing this experience doesn't mean we have to share every single part of our day. And the thing that helped us over the weekend was one day letting, Danica sleep in, another day I got to sleep in, and then having time where at the end of the day, when the baby gets to go to sleep, we can do separate things and still feel like we can, have our thoughts to ourselves. That balance.
We're doing
really,
headphone time, which helps a lot. Like if somebody has AirPods in, then you just leave them alone, and like all the way. My daughter's like, "Hey, I have my headphones on. I don't want to talk to anybody right now," which is funny.
She's like, I'm in the zone, man.
I'm in the, yeah, I feel the flow. I'm in the flow state.
And speaking of the bread making phase, a good friend, we have friends that live nearby us, and we went over to their house, and they have stairs in front of their house, so they can stand on the second level like a balcony, and it's a little like Romeo and Juliet. So we stand on the street, and they stand on the balcony, and we had about a 45-minute chat from
Oh, that's really
15 feet
funny.
away.
A little bit of Rona.
And my friend Jessica gave us a sourdough starter that she's been working with. So we got that going for us. We're gonna try that soon.
One of our neighbors made cookies last week and dropped them off at the front door, and it was like the nicest thing. We got to figure out how to reciprocate.
What Julie's been doing is making the cookie. She does the Martha Stewart chocolate chip cookies, right? So you use the mid-sized ice cream scoop to parcel out 3 tablespoon cookies in balls, and then you freeze them before cooking them.
Ah,
And so we've been almost every time we dropped some stuff off at a friend's house yesterday, and we brought along a bin. We brought along a bin full of the frozen cookie balls that they could then bake into cookies. And that's Julia's brilliance. That's a lovely gift to give someone.
that
Like
is
ready to go chocolate chip cookies.
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
So
Also, in the middle of the night, those little balls of chocolate chip cookie dough are like the greatest snack ever, ever, ever.
Guys, I learned to make donuts last week. I got real into donut making for like a 3-day period. Turns out that's how long it takes you to make decent donuts.
3 days.
Well, look, we ate a lot of donuts for a few days there. But,
Okay.
three tries.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're continuing to do weird culinary adventures over here. So
Nice.
and then Adam,
but-
you alluded to earlier, then you shot some builds.
Yeah. So after the live stream, the live stream was also that was an interesting day. We decided to spend last Tuesday, except for the live stream, doing a kind of bottom to top house cleaning. And not the rigorous like toothbrush behind the radiators kind of thing, but just like the normal weekly house cleaning. And that felt really stabilizing to just go through the house and run a vacuum and make sure everything was tight. And we're doing that again tomorrow. Besides the live stream, that's what I'll be doing. And somehow between the accident, going in, cleaning up my shop, getting it back to normal, and cleaning the house, I came in on Wednesday and I felt really invigorated. And yeah, I ended up shooting. You guys had a list of things that I needed to do, some intros for spot videos and other stuff. You sent me the breakdown, and when I finished that list, I was like, "This is really good. I'm going to shoot something." And then I decided to talk about the injury, and then I'm like, "Oh, okay, I want to do a build." I did a build, then I did another build. I did a build on Friday, and got another
That's
one
awesome.
for. I got another one for this Wednesday, and that felt like a dam opening. Lowering the threshold on getting something in camera, because we spent like 3 weeks without getting anything in camera, and that felt like that was weird. So it feels nice to be back. Also got some great comments from Joey this morning, and I saw Joey's cut of the thing that I shot, which I really enjoyed. He's playing around with.
Are you just shooting on phone, Adam, or are you shooting with one of the studio cameras?
No, I'm shooting on the phone. I find the studio camera there's too many variables. I need the low threshold. I need just use this.
Got it.
And that goes back to the beginning. It's the decreasing the amount of friction and the threshold to getting something started and breaking that seal, the dam of getting something started. That's, I think, across the country and the world, people who are staying at home who are finding it difficult to feel motivated. Like the recommendation is just try it and do it. And it's the same for all the tips we give to any maker who's asked questions over the past 8 years, right? Like the hardest thing to do is get started, and it's just magnified now.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Like it's okay to stop paying attention to the big bad thing that's happening and focus on your thing, no matter how small or trivial it seems in comparison.
It's not just okay. It's not just okay. It's really necessary to do what you can to lower your stress level. Elevated stress levels mean lowered immune systems, weakened immune systems. That's a straight up direct relationship. Making sure we're getting enough sleep, which is still really hard for me. I'm still having probably three nights of insomnia per week.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to say, I was about to go, yeah, it's really strange, which is literally the dumbest possible thing you could say about this moment, but it is so strange.
Well, but you know what? The thing it's funny. I was doing a pitch this morning for a thing, and as I was talking, I realized that this is the first time in 30 years that the entirety of American experience is the same. Right. I
The
mean,
world
obviously,
experience,
the world experience. Yeah. It's and in that regard, it's the first time in 100 years, probably.
By the way, in Iowa, and I don't mean to call out Iowa because it's a lovely state with some lovely people, but they still have not done a shelter in place. The governor is still just shutting down schools, but hasn't asked everyone to shelter in place. It's driving me crazy.
And I will again bring up the fact that even though in the United States we are sheltering in place, it is a tough thing for a lot of people to do. Because my voice changing?
Totally get I totally get the difficulties on an individual level of sheltering in place. I'm talking about the institutional level.
Yeah.
Of making sure that everyone's on the same page, because the choices they're making now are going to have these long tail effects, which are the worst possible effects. The stakes couldn't be higher.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's the sum total of politics I want to go into.
Yeah.
I want to give out some recommendations, and I really hope that the recording here lets me spit out a separate audio file for myself so I can change my pitch, because I've been running into this technical problem, and this is my caveat if that doesn't change. So my voice is shifted lower.
Does it put the lotion on its skin? That's what I want to know.
Why, yes. It is I, Norman Chan of Tested.com.
Oh my God.
I find your lack of props disturbing.
John Krasinski of The Office has started an amazing YouTube channel called Some Good News. He's done 2 episodes. It went viral last week, but if you haven't seen the second episode, he brings together the original cast of Hamilton.
And they're doing a show on Friday, right?
I don't know about that,
right?
But they all got together to do a video conference sing-along of the first song for a fan, and it's amazing. 100% worth watching. You're crying throughout. There's an amazing Miyazaki 4-part documentary that NHK over in Japan has now made public, and I'll put the link in the show notes. It was available earlier, but now across the world they've brought it back. It's also subtitled in a bunch of different languages if English isn't your first language, and so that's really great to watch. A lot of people are doing fundraisers and doing money for charity. Lady Gaga is doing a concert thing on Friday, but also Phoebe Waller-Bridge is bringing the Fleabag stage show that she did in London as a streamable, and in the US I believe it's in Amazon. You'll be able to donate money and watch that.
I am so on that.
That's awesome.
At the end of this week as well. Yep.
Norm, I also sent you the link for Mary Robinette Cowell's mask design so that we could post that if you want to make your own. It is. I made several different masks from several different designs this weekend. This is by far the most comfortable and easy to make, and it works beautifully with just a normal shoelace.
That's awesome.
It is, as always, really stabilizing and delightful to see your shining faces, and I look forward to bumping elbows and slowly moving up to eating food together soon.
Let's not get crazy.
Yeah, I don't mean. Every time I'm watching television and I see people like kissing on the cheek, I know I say this every week, but it gets more and more weird.
There's so much hugging in the early 30 Rock.
This is going to change social dynamics for a generation, not.
This is what happened in the countries that were affected by SARS, 15 years ago. So we're just behind the times and didn't pay attention. So
yeah. Well, you guys stay safe and have a good week, and we'll keep on keeping on.
Yeah, good luck and wash your hands, everybody. See y'all next time.
And Adam is going to be live streaming for people who are listening to audio Tuesday afternoon, 1 p.m. Pacific, just on YouTube channel. And you can also list your own questions, pose your questions by joining our Discord. The URL is discord.gg/tested. All right.
Yay! All right, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.